Aaron went on the community leadership visit the chamber did when they focused here in Springfield. They looked inside and said, okay, what are our positives? What are our blue ribbons, our red flags? And that's actually what came out of that was she thought, I've lived here my whole life and I didn't know about these things. And if I don't, then who else doesn't? And that honestly is something that at the very core of Celebrate Springfield, that's what we want to do.
Welcome to In Our Town, Conversations with Springfieldians Making a Difference. I'm your host, Tom Carlson, publisher of the Springfield Daily Citizen. If you'd like to comment on this episode, our email is inourtown@sgfcitizen.org. We'd love to hear from you. On Sunday, October 1, a months-long series of events highlighting the arts in Springfield would conclude with a grand celebration at the Springfield Art Museum. The event has been managed by a group of community volunteers who have worked under the banner of Celebrate Springfield. Joining me today to tell us more about the event is co-chair Megan Buchbinder, whose daytime job is the marketing director for the Springfield Convention and Visitors Bureau. Megan, welcome to In Our Town.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
Well, this Celebrate Springfield's in year 2 of its existence. Last year, you folks highlighted the outdoors. This year, it's the arts community here in Springfield. It's culminating in an event on October 1st, but what's led up to it this month here in September?
Thank you for the time to be able to talk about it because it's a complete initiative that's centered around engaging our residents and engaging our community. Our founder, Aaron D'Anastasio, with the Hatch Foundation, saw a huge need, community members not knowing what is available to us here in Springfield. I'm a transplant, so I am not born and raised here, but I know when a lot of people who are, and even if you aren't, to be a tourist in your own town and to love where you're living based on the amenities that we have available to us, it's abundant. So last year, like you mentioned, we started focusing on a theme to kind of narrow it down because there is so much in our community. And so that was where the outdoors thought came from. And so we really focused the month of September on promoting events that not only already exist in our area, but then also removing barriers to some of those access.
To use the name of the foundation, you're hatching new ideas.
Yes.
I don't think that name is accidental.
No, it's not. Actually, the whole premise behind the Hatch Foundation, and I'm speaking for them, but thankfully they are a founder of this organization to support activities and ideas and projects that actually progress Springfield forward and move Springfield forward. So Celebrate Springfield is obviously right on par with what they are, and they actually started this their own kind of event in this way.
Don't you think there's, at least with a lot of folks in the community, maybe a little hesitation to get involved with the arts community? They don't maybe do that typically, and is how to approach an event, and are you going to seem like a sore thumb?
Yes, exactly.
Isn't there some
You hit the nail on the
aspect
head.
of that?
That's exactly why we chose arts and culture. So we had a great first year with outdoors, and that's a little bit easier to sell to people. Unfortunately, I'm a huge arts supporter, so obviously that it's right up my alley, but I'm naturally inclined to the arts. But knowing that there are barriers to the arts in a number of ways. You mentioned it, intimidation or just lack of knowledge of, is this for me? Do I fit in? When I go to the symphony, I don't even know what to wear, or when do I clap? And is that boring? Like what are the things? Right. You know, how is that for me too? And the arts are designed.
So what you folks are doing are making it available or easier for people to tiptoe into the experience.
Yes, exactly. So whether that barrier is cost, whether that barrier is intimidation, whether it's just lack of knowledge of what's available, Celebrate Springfield is designed to kind of collect all of those barriers and make people feel a little bit more comfortable with participating with what's available and being a collector of knowledge. So you know, obviously, my day job, as you mentioned, is with the Convention and Visitors Bureau. So we have springfieldmo.org and the Love Springfield social accounts, which is great, but it's designed for visitors as well. Locals use it, but Celebrate Springfield is kind of specifically for locals and residents. So it has a little bit more of a personalized touch that only locals really understand. And so
I like the idea of what I would call community building.
Yeah.
getting people out of their homes, learning about what's available here in town.
Try
I
something
think
new.
so. I want to get to the big event at the Art Museum on October 1st,
Mhm.
but can you give us an idea of at least some of the events that have occurred here in September?
Yeah, sure. So we do hone in on September, but because the arts community is year round, we kind of started promoting things a little bit earlier this year than we did last year. So we kind of started pushing things out about what is currently available in like June and July. So you can go to celebratesgf.com and you can see a whole bunch of featured events there. But we highlighted events that happened with a number of our local arts organizations. Springfield Little Theater has a number of summer workshops and things like that that happened in the summer, as well as leading into September with Fiddler on the Roof, which is actually currently still going on. So you can still see that show probably this weekend from when this airs, as well as we've got Springfield Contemporary Theater has Big Fish happening. There's a number of local arts workshops that are listed on there as well. Galois has some live events as well. They have some movie matinees that happen, but they also have like some live performances as well. Juanita K. Hammonds Hall on Missouri State's campus has a bunch of events as well. So again, and then there's also a bunch of festivals and arts-focused events that happen that are just one time. So obviously Cider Days just happened. But then
Is there a newsletter that goes out on these things? So if I were interested, I could get a weekly newsletter.
You can get it on celebratesgf.com, or all of our social media channels are there as well. We don't have an email blast this year. Hopefully that's something we're going to grow to, still being in its infancy, and we're all volunteers. So there's not one paid person who puts us on. So we don't have all of that yet, but we do have a very robust social presence, as well as the website that has an entire calendar.
Got a calendar.
It's a calendar, but it's called Things to Do, and you can actually fill out filters based on what you want to do. And it'll kind of custom an itinerary for you, if you will. So if you're saying, like in my instance, if I'm looking for a low-cost activity that's great for young children on the weekends, all accessibility, and then I can put that into the filter and it'll kind of create a list of things. And same with, we kept all of the outdoor activities on there as well from last year. So it can filter outdoor activities, arts activities, whatever you're looking for. But ultimately, we want to grow this resource to be something that somebody, regardless of your income, regardless of your transportation barriers, regardless of any kind of accessibility, you're able to find something that can fit for you here in Springfield.
Let's move on to the event on Sunday, October 1 at the Art Museum. This is the big event that culminates all the activities up to this point. What can people see and do? So
it's a completely free event this year. It is at the Springfield Art Museum, as you mentioned, October 1st, noon to 4. This is a place that celebrates the theme of this year. So we want to celebrate Springfield's arts and culture scene. We do have parking at the Missouri State University lot right on the corner of Grand and National, and there'll be shuttles that'll bring you over, but we're also encouraging you to stroll, ride your bike, walk, however, if you can in that area, and there'll be signage and some fun. Better Block Springfield is helping us out with some cool, innovative ways to
another
get there.
Cool thing about it is the Art Museum has finished first part of its expansion there. So you'll have a really, and you're next to Phelps Grove Park as well, but you'll have a really cool place to display a lot of activities.
Exactly. We have actually, we're bleeding into the park a lot this year. Originally, we had a plan to kind of take over the art museum, like parking lot and things like that, but it grew so big because we have such an expansive arts community here that I think a lot of people don't realize. But we'll have, I think right now, it's either 27 or 28 local organizations, arts organizations that will be present that day that will all have activities. It might relate to who they are and what they do. It might not. It just might be a fun family activity that you can do. It's completely free. But there'll also be 2 stages. So we'll use the Art Museum's amphitheater. The Springfield Ballet is going to lay down some Marley floor, which is what helps the dancers protect their bodies from all the jumping and things they do.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And so that is a strictly dance performance. And then we actually have the show wagon from the city, because they're a big sponsor of the event as well, will be in the park, and you'll see live music and live performances. So I believe Springfield Opera will be doing some things. And I can't remember, I'm saying this now, and I can't remember the list of the bands because I haven't received the whole lineup, but you can check our social media and we'll be posting the lineup there. I believe the symphony will be doing something, as well as some local bluegrass bands. and just getting a whole flavor of the arts and culture scene in Springfield.
This is a bit of a digression, but you know what this reminds me of?
Huh.
Mountain Home, Arkansas, on the weekends in the summer and early fall. They have a music festival every weekend. It's basically church groups and a lot of fiddle playing and stuff. It draws hundreds of people.
Yeah.
And everybody brings their lawn chair.
Yeah.
Their folding lawn chair. And you sit on one corner of the square outside the courthouse and listen to this group for a while, and then you'll pick up and move elsewhere. It sounds like with the amount of activity and the things to observe, lawn chairs might be a good idea to bring with you.
We will have seating, so you should be okay. You should be okay there, because it will be throughout the park. So there will be. And honestly, I should give a shout out to Art Museum because they've been a massive partner in this. They have their major event 99 times the night before. So they're actually now hosting 2 major events back to back. And we're utilizing some of their tent structures and tables and things like that they had for. Yeah, and honestly, one of the things I think people don't realize if you're not involved in the arts community here, it is the most harmonious, collaborative group of people. One, I think because they know that people aren't necessarily always inclined to check out or try something. A lot of times arts have a cost to them for obvious reasons. Very few times can you put on a major production for free for people. But all of our arts organizations are nonprofits. So every dollar that you spend on the arts comes back into that organization and creates those opportunities, not just for audiences, but for youth to participate. And that's honestly...
if you're sort of a lowbrow person like me,
I wouldn't say that.
You don't. I can go over and say, hey, I'm just going over to get a hot dog off the food truck. But then I can look over my shoulder and see if there's something else.
Yeah, exactly. There'll be food trucks and things like that. And obviously, we have some activities for all ages. But this is an opportunity. It's a no-cost option for you to come and just check it out. If you're worried about whether you'd like something and you don't want to invest in a ticket or in your time, which sometimes is more valuable than the cost of a ticket, these days, everyone's doing so much. This is an opportunity for you to come and just see what is out there. You might discover that there is a workshop or a class that your young kid might be interested in, or you yourself might be interested in. There's, arts education is not just for children, it's for all ages.
Will the art museum be open?
The art museum will be open, so we'll have some things happening in the art museum as well. Cool. So you'll be able to check out, the art museum's always free. Plug for the art museum. That's insane. For you to be able to go to an art museum at any time, and it is completely free for you to go. So that is a huge gem that we have here. One of the things that we did to help promote the arts and remove the barrier of intimidation is we produced, along with Plotline Films, I think it's 5 films actually, of short, 1 to 2 minute videos of introductions to these art organizations and locations. So Springfield Little Theater and the Landers Theater did one. The Galois with the opera did one, and I believe the ballet was with the Landers Theater since that's where they perform. But basically showing people, hey, when you come here, this is where you park. This is where you get your ticket. This is where the concession is. Here's what the space looks like. So when you come, you don't feel like a fish out of water. If this is a first time for you, this is where you can sit. This is what we think the best seat in the house looks like. All of those kind of things to make you feel a little bit more familiar before you go.
I would imagine that a lot of these art organizations feel like they're coming out from a long hibernation because of the pandemic.
Yeah. Hospitality, the arts, any kind of attraction was one of the hardest hit places in the pandemic. Our local art scene for sure was crushed. And thankfully they're, finally kind of crawling out of the damage that happened for them, because your revenue relies on ticket sales and people's giving. That stopped for well over a year for a lot of these organizations. And that's also a plug for the strength of the organizations we have in Springfield, because the fact that not only did they all make it, for the most part, did they all make it, but now they're growing and thriving. And for Springfield to be able to support not only multiple local theaters, a ballet, a symphony, an opera, and the list goes on, an art museum, for us to be able to support that, the need is there, the desire to support the arts is there. Now let's grow it. Let's get the people who think that the arts are not for them, to see where they actually can plug in. The arts are everywhere. They're a necessary and essential part of our community. you take it away, which I think we all saw during COVID, and you see it's a kind of a sad place to go. People are dying to get out. They want to think about like the murals and what that does for our downtown and how that, for me personally, thinks how that impacts visitors.
We'll be right back after this short break.
Hello, I'm Jeff Kessinger. I'm the Reader Engagement Editor for the Springfield Daily Citizen. A day in the life of the Reader Engagement Editor starts around 8 a.m., getting the newsletters, SGF AM, all ready to go, making sure the forecast is up to date for you, and gathering links from other news organizations. After that, I spend a few hours on social media. I have to schedule our posts, have to check the comments, and make sure everybody's behaving nicely. In the afternoon, I usually turn my attention to editing some of our freelance contributors, and I also do some reporting of my own on arts and culture happenings. Springfield has a great arts community, musicians, visual artists, performance artists. It's important that we give back to the arts community and thank them for the color that they add to our community and to our world. And so by reporting on events that are happening or coming up, I'm helping people find ways to connect with the artists around here.
I think is really great about the deal is the amount of collaboration. I looked at your website before the interview today, and there are 4 co-chairs. There's Aaron Anastasio with the Hatch Foundation, of course, you with Convention Visitors Bureau, Mary Cromrie with the Ozark Greenways, and Leslie Forcer with the Springfield Regional Arts Council. And the old saying is collaboration is what you can do together that you couldn't do on your own.
Oh, gosh,
and I think it's like bringing a lot of embers together to create a fire. I think
honestly, it has been one of the biggest joys in my career to serve with those women, too, because the ideas that they come and the drive and the dedication that they have, knowing that we all have complete full-time jobs on top of this. But then on top of that, there is about 20-person volunteer committee behind us that we've grown in the last 2 years. I run the marketing committee because that's my area of expertise. Please don't make me plan an event. That's not my thing. That's Mary's thing. So Mary runs the event committee for October 1st. Leslie is handling all of the arts organizations and getting them plugged in. And Erin is sponsorships and development, which is where she thrives too. So there are all these different committees of volunteers behind us. And when we come and we see that, and if you see our list of sponsors and partners on the website, you'll see this is something that the entire community and business community, nonprofits, all see value in. And it's because we love our community. We love where we live. We want other people to see it too. If I walk down the street and talk to a local and they tell me there is nothing to do in Springfield, I'm calling them on it because that is false. It is absolutely false. This area is so rich, not just with natural resources, but the activities and what people are investing in our community for us to be able to do to make this not just a great place to live and want to grow your business and grow your family, but a great place to visit. And we need those visitors to come so everything else works too. So it's all this great like circle of life, if you will. And we want people to truly celebrate where we live so they have that community pride to get other people to come here too.
Now, it's my understanding that it sort of grew out of the Community Focus Report, and our listeners may not know, but the Chamber of Commerce sponsored an annual trip every year to another town about the size of Springfield to see what good ideas we could steal and bring home. And back in the early 2000s, I went to Lexington, Kentucky, and we even stole their motto, blue ribbons and red flags. And we issue a community focus report every 2 years. And the red flags are things like childhood poverty. Well, that's sort of the sad part of it, the things we have to work on. But then there are all those blue ribbons. And Celebrate Springfield, as I understand, is trying to highlight all of these things, like the outdoors. This year, you're doing the arts. And I presume that there will be other things.
Something next year.
There'll be something next year.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. Erin went on the community leadership visit the chamber did when they focused here in Springfield. They looked inside and said, okay, what are our positives? What are our blue ribbons, our red flags? And that's actually what came out of that was she thought, I've lived here my whole life and I didn't know about these things. And if I don't, then who else doesn't? And that honestly is something that at the very core of Celebrate Springfield, that's what we want to do. I mean, we obviously have growth goals to get this to be something that everybody. It's a staple that everyone in Springfield looks forward to every year. We want the celebration event to be the biggest Springfield event that possible. And it last year was in Jordan Valley Park, and it was so much fun. And this year, when you get a bunch of arts people together, it's always crazy and it's always fun. So I have no doubt that it will be again this year. And yes, we are going to continue with it next year in hopes that I don't know what the theme will be or even if there will be a theme, but we want this to be a resource that lives on for our locals.
I'm sure it will grow. Now, I want to just mention before we close today, tell us about the Community Mural Project.
Oh, yeah. That's a really fun one, too. So it's an event with Ozark Greenways, as you mentioned, as well as a local artist. And that is happening on September 30th at Fast Night Creek Greenway Trail from 10 to 3. And we loved being kind of on this project as well because it's a free activity for community members to actually participate in beautifying our community and that part of the trail. It's a minimum age of 8 years old. So, you know, I can't bring my toddler, but no one wants my toddler to be a part of this mural. But ages 8 to 16 must have a parent or guardian present. But you can actually sign up for a time slot. It's completely free, but you sign up for a time slot. And this is all on our website, so you can find it there. But it is a way for us, kind of like a paint by numbers, if you will, for the community to actually become an artist for a day and have something that's going to live on as a part of this trail. So,
you know, as a young person, you can say 30 years from now.
I painted that.
Painted that. I was involved in
I was a part of that. I was, and whether you're an artist or not, trust me, you can fill in the lines. I mean, it's a paint by numbers kind of scenario. You're not going to, if we're asking an 8-year-old to do it, like you can do it just fine.
Or even old men like me. Maybe.
Right. And no experience necessary. You just literally need to show up, sign up for it on our Facebook, or like I said, there's a direct link on our website.
Won't,
yeah. Well, I hope you do. I hope we see you there. Could be a legacy project for you if you can have one section of the mural that you said that I did it. Yeah.
I'm confident that this will continue to grow. Seen a lot of things over the years. Just this past weekend, cider days, for example.
Oh, love cider days.
It just they just pick up and grow and grow, particularly with the enthusiasm of volunteers like you. Before we close, is there anything I forgot to ask you about?
Just to reiterate, celebratesgf.com is where you can find everything. We're on Facebook and Instagram. You can follow us there. That's where we'll post any kind of updates or any kind of lineup, especially for the October 1st event. But mark your calendars, October 1, noon to 4 at the Art Museum. There's parking information on our website, and we just hope you come out and celebrate Springfield with us.
Come one, come all.
Yes, literally everyone. We'd love to have you.
Megan, thank you for being my guest today on In Our Town.
This is great. Thank you so much.
That's it for this week, and many thanks for listening. If you'd like to listen to other episodes, you can visit the Springfield Daily Citizen website at sgfcitizen.org/In Our Town, or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.